Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're gonna be builders, but forget bricks and wood, we're building something way cooler. We're gonna build the basic blocks of all life, plant and animal cells.
So, here's the game plan. First, we'll look at the parts they both have in common. The shared blueprint. Then we'll build a plant cell and then an animal cell. After that, we'll put them head-to-head in a showdown to see what's different. And finally, we'll figure out why any of this even matters. Ready? Let's get to it.
All right, first up, our shared cell blueprint. Yeah, think of this like a starter kit for building a cell. Before we get into all the differences, we gotta look at the amazing parts that plant and animal cells have in common. So, let's start with the basics. What even is a cell? Super simple, really. A cell is just the basic building block of all living things. I mean, everything. You, me, that tree outside, your dog, we're all made of these tiny, tiny little units. Okay, so both plant and animal cells have this whole team of parts working together. Now, I know that looks like a long list of really sciencey words, right? Don't worry about it. We're just going to focus on a few of the star players today to really get how these cells work. Let's meet them. First, let's talk about the nucleus. This thing is the boss. Seriously, it's the control center of the entire cell. It holds all the instructions, that's the DNA, and it tells every other part what to do. Every single important decision starts right here. Next up, the mitochondria. Okay, you've probably heard this one before. It's the powerhouse of the cell. And that's exactly what it is. Its job is to take in nutrients and just crank out energy. Energy for the cell to do, well, everything. Without the mitochondria, there's no power, and nothing happens. And of course, every cell needs a bit of security, right? That's where the cell membrane comes in. It's like a gatekeeper, or maybe a bouncer at a club. It very carefully controls what gets to come in and what has to go out. It's super, super important for keeping the cell safe and healthy. Okay, so we've got our basic blueprint down. Now it's time for our first big project, building a strong plant cell. We're going to take that basic model and add the special parts that really make a plant, well, a plant. So, to upgrade our basic cell into a full-on plant cell, we need 3 special additions. We need a cell wall for strength, chloroplasts to make food, and a huge vacuole for storage. Let's break those down one by one. First up, we add the cell wall. This is a super tough, rigid layer on the very outside. It basically acts like a strong box built around the cell. This is what gives a plant cell its shape and all that extra protection. Okay, step 2, we add chloroplasts. And these are amazing, seriously. Think of them like tiny, solar-powered kitchens inside the cell. They've got this green stuff called chlorophyll, and they use sunlight to cook up food for the plant. And yeah, that whole process has a name, photosynthesis. And for our final upgrade, step 3, we add a large central vacuole. This is pretty much just a giant storage tank right in the middle of the cell. It's usually filled with water and nutrients, and by being so full, it pushes out against the cell wall, which actually helps the plant stand up straight. It's so big, it shoves the nucleus and everything else off to the side. Awesome! Our plant cell is complete. Now, let's head back to that original blueprint and build something different, a flexible animal cell. So what makes this one so special? Let's find out. All right, so for an animal cell, it's kind of funny. It's almost more about what it's missing. First off, there's no cell wall, and there are no chloroplasts. And instead of that one giant vacuole, it just has a bunch of little ones. These changes make all the difference, giving it a flexible, kind of blobby shape and letting the nucleus hang out right in the middle. And that flexibility, that is the absolute key feature of an animal cell. Without that rigid wall, animal cells can be all sorts of different shapes. And this is what allows animals to move. I mean, think about your own muscles. The reason they work is because those cells can change their shape. Okay, both of our cells are built, so you know what that means? It's time for the main event. Plant versus animal, the showdown. Let's put them side by side and make these differences crystal clear. So, after all that, if you're gonna remember anything, what are the 3 biggest, most important differences? Let's break it down nice and simple. And here they are, the big 3. Number 1, the cell wall. Plants have it, animals don't. Number 2, chloroplasts. Again, yes for plants, no for animals. And number 3, the vacuole. Plants have one giant one, animals have a bunch of small ones. Seriously, if you can just remember those 3, you pretty much got it. And those three main differences are what cause everything else we see. That strong cell wall, it locks the plant cell into that boxy, rectangular shape. Then, that giant vacuole pushes the nucleus off to the side. But in the animal cell, no wall means it can be any shape it wants, and the nucleus gets to be right in the center, where all the action is. Okay, so we know what the differences are. But now we get to the most important question of all. Why? Why do these differences matter? Let's connect the dots and see how these teeny tiny cell parts explain the massive differences between, say, a tree and a tiger. So yeah, it all comes down to this one question. Why do plants and animals need such different cells to survive? You know, it all comes down to their lifestyle. Think about it. A plant is stuck in one spot. It can't get up and walk to find food, and it can't run away from things that want to eat it. So its cells need that strong wall to stand up tall and reach for sunlight, and they need those chloroplasts to make their own food right there on the spot. But animals? We're a totally different story. We have to move. We need to find food, build shelters, escape danger, so that flexible cell membrane is everything. It lets our cells specialize to become muscles that contract or nerves that send signals. All the parts of a body that can run and jump and swim, our cells are built for action. And there you have it. That's our complete Build-A-Cell workshop. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If you could design a brand new type of cell, what parts would you give it? And what incredible new thing would it be able to do? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me today.